I do want to watch him sign these executive orders because I feel like more and more these are starting to hit closer to home in terms of like, I'm gonna get nuked off the air. um,
Well, thank you very much. We've had some very, really good talks today on Gaza with both the Middle East representatives.
that's a lot of people, yeah.
Kings and all of the top leaders in the Middle East. And we had also a very good conversation with Bibi Netanyahu, trying to get the hostages back, and we're trying to get the end of the Gaza situation. It's really bad, very bad. And we think it could happen. Maybe it could happen pretty soon. We want the hostages back. We want the bodies back. And we want to have peace in that region. So we had some very good talks. As you know, I had President Erdogan here, Turkey, and we had a great meeting today. I think we had a meeting that was very conclusive in so many different things that we wanted, things that he wanted, and that was good. We'll be announcing that sometime later, and he'll be making an announcement too. But we had a great meeting with Turkey, and they're a very respected president. And spend
Is
time with
Erdogan
lunch
respected?
and
I
a lot of
feel
good
like
discussions. So those two
I don't
things.
hear
And
much good about
we have
him.
some executive orders today to sign that are very important for the country. And we'll start off with one that's a proclamation. And
Yes, sir.
want to do that, Will?
Yes, sir. So today is Gold Star Mothers and Families Day. This is an annual proclamation. This is to commemorate the fallen, those who have died for all of our freedoms and for our country, and for their families who have suffered such grievous losses. But this is a proclamation commemorating
what
Gold
does
Star
this
mothers
executive
and,
order
Gold Star
actually
families.
do?
Yeah. And they're great people. Incredible people, what they've had to go through. Very few people could have gone through this.
No, Trump has no idea what he signs. This is why they have this like big masquerade of explaining in like 5-year-old terms what the executive orders are. Like, just with that, like, pretend he doesn't know. Just imagine he doesn't know anything about this, and watch them explain. This is the biggest. This is the most epic. This is the coolest, largest, most extreme. Yada 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 yada. And he's like, "Oh wow, yeah, I think this is a big one, yeah." Like, even when it was the acetaminophen thing, he went up there. He was ranting and ranting and ranting. Bobby Kennedy goes up there, and he's like gives more, I guess, as in depth of an explanation as he can. Trump walks in, interrupts him, and says, "Also, just for everybody, I'm just learning this because I'm hearing this word a lot. Acetaminophen is Tylenol." It's like, you didn't know that before the press conference? Hello?
This kind of thing. Gold Star. Okay, thank you very much. He'll put it over here, Steve.
Next, sir, we have an executive order on TikTok. From the first days of your administration, you've charged a team from your administration, led by Vice President Vance, with ensuring that we can preserve TikTok as a platform for the 170 million Americans who use it, while ensuring that their data is properly protected as required by law. With this executive order, you will be effectively bringing into effect the agreement that will save TikTok and ensure that it can operate safely and securely.
So this is interesting because I had a very good talk with President Xi, a lot of respect for him. Hopefully he has a lot of respect for me too. And we talked about TikTok.
Sorry, so in one of the executive orders, he's about to sign a new law enforcement strategy that investigates all participants in these criminal, terroristic conspiracies, including the organized structures, networks, entities, organizations, funding sources, and predicate actions behind them is required. Mind you, this is very nebulous because Antifa, who they're citing a lot, doesn't have funders. It's not even like a centralized org. It's really just a name that people attach themselves to. So this is going to be broad-based. Like, how far does this apply? Does it apply to someone who donated to BLM? Can they be arrested now? Like, I think we're in for some scary times.
And other things, but we talked about TikTok, and he gave us the go-ahead. You know, it's run by American investors and American companies. great ones, great investors, the biggest. You don't get bigger, I don't imagine. And maybe I'll have JD. JD was very much involved.
Separate anti-police and criminal justice.
Maybe I'll have you say a few words about the deal. He would report back, and the points of the deal, I think, are great for our country. So, JD, do you want to give it a little talk, please?
Yes, sir.
deal they
So
signed
thank you,
is
sir, for your
better.
leadership and for your help. We really couldn't have done this without the president actually ushering this deal over the finish line. There was some resistance on the Chinese side, but the fundamental
It's
thing
the
that we
deal
wanted to accomplish
China
is that we wanted to
posed.
keep TikTok operating, but we
They
also
keep
wanted to
their
make
own
sure that we
algorithm.
protected Americans' data privacy as required by law, both because it's the right thing to do, but also because it's a legal requirement of the law that was passed last year by Congress. So we think that we were able to do that. Of course, we're going to keep on working at it, but this deal really does mean that Americans can use TikTok, but actually use it with more confidence than they had in the past,
They're
because
just
their data is
shifting
going
it
to be
over to,
secure
like,
and it's not going to be
Oracle
used as a
servers.
propaganda weapon against our fellow citizens. We're very excited about it. We appreciate the cooperation of everybody.
Also, Tic Tac autism pill. Amen. What is like? Okay, again, this is another thing too about things that contradict themselves, like on their face, that say like, yeah, we will not let this be a Chinese propaganda machine. Also, TikTok helped me get elected. They helped a lot. I really like TikTok because it helped me. Like, are you saying that either the Chinese propaganda isn't real, or are you saying the Chinese propaganda is real, as JD is, and it's aimed at helping you? Like again, like what? You have to own a position. It's now our propaganda machine. Thank God. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Yes, if it's a propaganda machine and it helped Trump, then yes, those two can both be true, but then it stands to reason that the propaganda that China wanted helped Trump. They wanted Trump. So, like, if they're both true, then it means Chinese propaganda helped Trump. If it's not true, then it's organic. Like, for Trump's case, I feel like ideally it's not a propaganda machine and his support was organic, you know? Right? But then what are they trying to propagandize for? I understand that they... Yeah, no, I don't believe it's 100% propaganda either, but then if you want to make the argument that they're mutually exclusive, and I'm willing to entertain that, what are they propagandizing for? Because I know a lot of Russian propaganda is focused on sowing, like, distrust and all that. Do you think that would be a China thing, or is it just pro-China, like, rhetoric? I understand they can be mutually exclusive. I feel like if China had they want more brain, maybe. But I feel like if China had this incredible tool to be influential in the minds of Americans, they'd probably try and skew it. Maybe. Again, that's my contention, I guess.
Involved, and it's a big day.
And I think I can say that especially the young people, they really...
No, too, bud. Would you be willing to entertain the idea that they might not be mutually exclusive?
wanted this to happen. They did not want to have TikTok close. And I got, a little used to TikTok. I used it myself during the campaign, and it was very successful because you know how I did with the young voter. And Charlie helped me a lot too. And he said to me, you should go on TikTok.
I'm just saying it's a possibility. I'm asking you to concede that it might be a possibility. I'll concede that there's a possibility that their goals aren't aimed at the presidency, but I feel like there's a chance that they are. Did China want Trump? Okay, okay. This is where we can actually debate because we have the same information about my whole thing. I would argue that China would want Trump because aren't they all secretly? But if you believe in the grand cabal of people at the top, sure. I don't know. I feel like Trump's not as hard on China as he thinks. Like with the tariff thing, China just did nothing and kept winning. At least in my view.
And it actually had, because we got record votes with the young voter, as you know, for the election. So I was a little bit prejudiced in that way toward TikTok. It was very good and very meaningful. But we have American investors taking it over, running it, highly sophisticated, including Larry Ellison. And Oracle, I guess, is going to play a very big role in terms of security, safety, and everything else. So
yeah,
have,
but China's goal
controls
is like economic
literally,
influence around the world, and in that instance, with us stepping back from the world stage, they've had a huge
driving me crazy.
ability to
So
fill
we're
in
getting
that
it
gap.
done, and they have a big audience, and
I
we have great American investors.
don't think it's
And here's
unreasonable
your
to say
final
that
thought.
China wanted the U.S. to
TikTok.
impose tariffs on
You know,
everybody so
maybe
that they
if
could
you
go
want,
and
we could
fill
take
in
a
that
couple
gap.
questions
Like,
on
you already
TikTok, and
see
then we're going to get on
them
to something.
exerting and flexing their economic might around the world with the Belt and Road Initiative, and I feel like they'd want the U.S. to step back from the world stage so that they could step in. I think that's a pretty reasonable intention.
Completely different. Okay. Yeah.
Mr. President,
Jeff?
Mr. Vice President, you mentioned that China was resistant. Can you describe where China is now? Are they fully on board with this?
They're
or
on
is
board.
there anything more?
I spoke with President Xi.
You do want to, but America is just one place. All right, America is a massive place. It's the biggest economy. However, if you sum up the rest of the world, like that's going to be a bit more important. And if it gives you inroads into Europe, and not to mention yes, but they're still selling into the US. They're just there's a tax paid. There's less demand in the US because there's higher prices for US consumers. So they take a hit on American like business, but they get to expand so much further into the rest of the world. Like I think it's a huge net positive for China.
We had a good talk. I told him what we were doing, and he said, go ahead with it.
On the algorithm, it's still being leased coming from China.
Again,
are you satisfied? That
I
there's
feel like
no
that's a separate
security
issue. What I'm
concerns?
arguing is that
yeah.
even with the tariffs, it's a massive net positive for China.
Push disruptive
The biggest
content.
reason is that it's owned by Americans. It's and very sophisticated Americans and people that love the country and very smart Americans too. So they don't want anything like that to happen. Yes, please.
Thank you. Is there any operational relationship with Chinese entities or staff to execute the deal
With who?
with the Chinese?
I don't think so. Not that I know. We're going to be. This is going to be American operated all the way, and
We look at the
great
details
respect
of
for
the TikTok
President
deal.
Xi, and I very much appreciate that he approved the deal because to get it done properly, we really needed the support of China and the approval of China. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, now that Americans will have operational control, do you want to see the algorithm suggest more MAGA-related content prioritized?
I always like MAGA related. If I could, I'd make it 100% MAGA related. It's actually a
What
good
a
question,
weird
but I would-
coincidence, yeah.
If I could make it 100% MAGA, I would, but it's not going to work out that way, unfortunately. No,
we have some
everyone's
good
going to be
friend
treated
Gemini
fairly.
about this.
Every group, every philosophy, every policy will be treated very fairly. Thank you.
Mr. President, do you know the valuation? Do you know the American company is going to be valued in billions?
Well, they valued it very highly. They're paying a big number. Do you want to talk, Scott? Do you want to say something about value?
Well, I'll let the Vice
Okay,
President,
good.
and then
JD?
I can follow
And you'll
up.
say something.
Sure. Well, first of all, I would say all credit goes to the Secretary of the Treasury. Couldn't have got it done without Scott. Also couldn't have got it done without Sean Cooksey on my team, so thanks to them. The company will be valued around $14 billion. We actually think this is a good deal for investors, but ultimately the investors are going to make the determination about what they want to invest in and what they think is a proper value. The most important thing is that it does protect Americans' data security.
Yeah, wait, are we talking about $14 billion for TikTok US? I feel like it'd be Yeah, I was gonna say that's really low.
It ensures TikTok is still accessible. And on this
I was hopeful on Besant. I wish he would push on Trump a little bit harder because I feel like he has the background to like know what he's talking about. I feel like he acquiesces too much.
question of the algorithm, which we've heard this a lot, what this deal ensures is that the American entity and the American investors will actually control the algorithm. We don't want this used as a propaganda tool by any foreign government. We want to make sure that our people and our investors actually make these decisions based on what's good for their business as opposed to what's good for another government's propaganda arm. So that's what we've done with this deal. I think it's very good for the American people. And as the president said, young people love this. We actually want everybody to access this, whether they're MAGA or not. We just want it to be fair. We want it to be fair to everybody, and we think that's what's going to happen with this new arrangement.
Well, the U.S. government.
And just to follow up on the Vice President, there were two pieces to the transaction. The Vice President's office has worked since the spring for the commercial transaction between the investor groups, and then Treasury and a group including the Vice President's office were in Madrid.
Okay, so
2 weeks
ByteDance is
ago
keeping a
to negotiate with
20%
the
stake.
Chinese, and it was a result of President Trump's close relationship with Party Chair Xi that we were able to get this across the line. We created a framework.
ByteDance will have representation
for
on the board,
Party Chair Xi to agree.
but won't be on national security related. Okay, Oracle hosts it. Let's see. Powerful recommendation algorithm that drives TikTok's For You page will be subject to oversight by Oracle. A copy of the algorithm will be retrained using only U.S. user data. Oracle will have the ability to review and audit the source code and any updates to ensure its integrity and prevent manipulation. Okay. And U.S.-based entities handle content moderation, not ByteDance. The new U.S. company is reportedly valued at $14 billion. Wait, am I missing what Plaza Accord? Let me. Yeah, no, I don't think Best. Oh! You're saying he's going along with it so that he could be at the table when that happens. Interesting.
And then on the leaders' call, Xi and President Trump discussed the final arrangement. So it was 1-2, and that was the final piece.
Will the U.S. government get any kind of annual payment as a result of this deal?
Taxes. It's going to make money, and we're going to get a lot of money in taxes. And you know, China wanted to see this go. It's a great legacy for China, too. And, I thought President Xi was great in terms of his approval. We probably could have done it a different way, but it wouldn't have been the same. Wouldn't have been the same security at all, but I appreciated that he approved it. It was
I never learned about
this. There's no part of the deal that is like a payment to the U.S. government.
well, we're going to be
4 years
announcing
of finance
different
school
things, but
at
the U.S.
college.
comes out great. And I think China comes out great because they're going to have a very important legacy. And they have many other deals. You know, they have deals with us, and they have deals here in this
I
country.
got an economic.
And, you know, they want to be
I got
treated fairly
finance.
also.
So, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President, the U.S. company could change the algorithm to push different content? Is that?
The U.S. company will have control over how the algorithm pushes content to users, and that was a very important part of it. We thought it was necessary for the national security element of the law. We also just think it's important to protect American users. Again, we want users to use this platform the way they want to. We want the business to make decisions about content based on the interests of the business and based on the interests of the users, and that's what we think will happen with this new arrangement.
And they're paying a lot of money, and I think hopefully it's going to be a great deal. They're very sophisticated people. You'll see a list. Have you seen a list yet of the people? Well, you've been reading about it. I know Michael Dell's involved, and Rupert Murdoch's involved, and a lot of, and let's see, we have probably 4 or 5 absolutely world-class.
Wait, so our currency got too strong?
Love the country. They made a lot of money with the country, and many of them are in a somewhat related business, so it works out pretty well. And they're going to be very careful about all of these questions that you've been asking.
Who else beyond Dell and Murdoch?
Well, it's a blue chip group of investors, and we'll be announcing more about who exactly is involved in the deal in the days to come.
Oracle's playing a very big part.
That's right, sir.
And Oracle really understands this. And I think they're actually, and they've been involved for quite a while running it for the people, the previous people. And so it's really, I think it's going to be very well protected. Very, very prestigious deal, actually.
On that point, Mr.
Right,
President,
right.
as the president said,
I'm aware of the basics of currency. Yeah. That's
Oracle has actually had a role in housing the data for a long time, even when the entity was controlled by the ByteDance organization in China. So Oracle had a pretty interesting perspective on what was necessary to actually create true data privacy protections for Americans. They were a very important part of getting this thing done.
Mr. President, you told us a couple of weeks ago you thought that the security concerns were overrated, but were there legitimate concerns when it comes to safety?
From my standpoint, no, because the people that own it are, they're not China-centric. They're USA-centric.
Yeah, no, I think we have a critical failing in like the personal finance and economics in like middle and high school. Like I feel like a lot of people's first exposure to it is either AP Econ or in college, or they just never get exposed to it. The Econ, I don't think there's a lot of degrees that require like macro or micro.
And they're very smart people. I guess you could say it about everything. Everything is what's secure nowadays. Things that you think are totally secure turn out to not to be. But I think in this case, it's going to be as secure as you can be because of the ownership and the people.
Get over the
and they have a
$14
big
billion
investment. It's
valuation
to their advantage to make sure it's good and
that
safe.
DCF?
Yeah. Anybody else? Do you have a question? No, behind you.
Well, I just want to say, do you think this move and getting this deal done, Mr. President, do you think this honors the legacy, like Charlie Kirk, you mentioned that he specifically pushed you to get involved with TikTok and
It's like the tariffs were a negotiating tool.
Do you think this deal honors him?
Well, I think it's a good thing. It's a good sign. We're doing very well, as you know, with the trade deals. We're doing very well with China and a lot of them. We were never treated properly. We were for 4 years, actually, but we were never treated very properly by other countries, and we're doing well.
I actually support a U.S. purchase of TikTok. Like, I don't think this is I think this is a good thing, but I just don't know how the fucking $14 billion valuation came to be.
We've never done this well. We have, because of the tariffs that are coming in, the deals that are being made, $950 billion in one case. $950 billion, where previously they paid nothing. We have, as you know, in Japan it's $550 billion. South Korea is $350 billion now. That's up front.
Yeah, I'm for that.
And one of the things I can say,
again, I've taken macro and micro. I took it in high school. I took it again in college. I just did not know about the Plaza Accord.
and now
And I took it, studied abroad. Got to learn about the UK economy. Yeah.
it lightly before, but we're taking in tremendous amounts of money with tariffs. We've never seen anything like it. No country's ever seen anything like it. I'm going to devote a little bit of that money, a little bit of the tariff money to our farmers. Our farmers have been incredible. They're the ones that let us survive and eat and enjoy our lives, right? Eat too much, maybe in some cases, like mine. But I will tell you, we're going to take some of the tariff money, relatively small amount, but a lot for the farmers. And we're going to help the farmers out a little bit because during this transition period, a period where we're taking in incredible amounts of money, we'll have a little bit of a shortfall with the farmers until the tariffs kick in, because they haven't kicked in for the farmers yet. And I decided before, and I spoke to all of the people here, that I want to make a contribution out of the tariff money, a small percentage of it, but it's a lot for the farmers. It'll make the farmers feel very good, just help them through the transition. And ultimately, they're going to be making a fortune. They will be one of the top, in the whole world in terms of percentage gotten from the tariffs we're taking in. but we have so much coming in, it's a very small thing. But I want to, in fact, just get the word out to the farmer.
That's
Because
that's
they'll be
not
struggling
jumping.
until the
That's a lot of
transition
money.
is complete. Then after that, they're going to do, I think, better than they've ever done before. Last time I said, get yourself a larger tractor
monthly?
and more land. And that was when they were doing very poorly.
But
And they ended up doing that, and they did very well. That was with the deal we made with China. Unfortunately, Biden forgot about the deal. Then he
this
never
jump in
enforced
tariff revenue
I
does
enforced
cost
it
us
till
a
the end,
lot.
and China was very
Not
honorable.
necessarily
But when
monetarily,
Biden came in, he didn't enforce it. So
geopolitically.
when you don't enforce a deal, they don't do it. So it's terrible. What Biden was very bad to
It
the
is
farmers
nice to
in
have
our
a
country.
source of revenue.
So we're going to be
I'll say.
doing that. It's an honor to do
But-
it too. Brian, did you have a question?
In my view, it's not worth abdicating our position on the world
U.S.
stage.
that really rely on TikTok to reach their end user, to market their service and their product.
Well, thank you for that question
superseding
because honestly, we were getting hit up. They use it for virtual advertising and they pay very little for it and nothing for it. And small businesses have become very successful because of TikTok. And we didn't think of that, when everyone's saying, oh, TikTok and this and that. But over the last 6 months, I was called by so many people saying they're going to go out of business if they can, because they use it virtually as
Right,
a
I forgot. We do
advertising
vibes-based
tool.
politics now. My bad.
And without it, they wouldn't have anything. They wouldn't be able to get the word out about their good product or whatever it is they're selling. So it's a very important thing for small business. It's another reason I wanted to do the deal so badly. So let's go to another subject now, if we might, okay? And Will,
Mr. President, can I
please.
ask you about farmers?
Yes, go ahead.
What does that look like? Is that going to be direct checks to farmers, or is it going to be?
Well, we haven't decided that. We'll be dealing with Brooke later and the Secretary of Agriculture, and we'll figure out how to get money to the farmers. And again, this comes out of the large
That's another
amount,
thing I gotta
hundreds of
dig
billions
into
of
is the
dollars of
U.S.
tariff
farmer.
money that's pouring into the country.
Farming economy.
The tariffs, remember when I said a long time ago, I said it's the greatest word, it's my favorite word in the world, then I had to say,
I feel like it's important to take macro and micro just to get the fundamentals.
I was forced to say other things, and of course rightfully so, love, family, religion. So I think I put tariff number 5. I was forced because the fake news did a big number on me. It's one of those little, but let's say it's my 5th favorite word tariff. But it's making our country very rich. And when our country is rich, I'm able to help the farmers and I'm able to help even other countries that are in trouble.
Aren't the farmers
But we're
in
able to
trouble
help people that are
because
in
of the
trouble.
tariffs in the first
Medicaid,
place?
Medicare, Social Security.
Or
It's all a benefit of this tremendous amount. And I hear numbers coming in today, Scott. where the
again,
numbers
I need
were
to study our
very
farming
high,
economy.
right?
The economic numbers were off the charts, sir.
Unfortunately, right? Because this is the only country in the world where you announce great numbers and the stock market goes down. Because when you announce great numbers, they immediately want to take that success away by raising the interest rates. Why can't you announce great numbers and let them lower the interest rate so you can make
They
numbers?
were
This is the
inflationary.
only country in the world. I don't know if you heard. Could you just tell them what the number was and how?
It was 3.88% growth, the biggest in years. And the important thing, as the president says, this is going to be non-inflationary growth, just like it was in its.
Just definitionally isn't. When you import inputs at a higher price, the products are going to cost more. This is why Besant bugs me, because it's like, come on. I know you know better.
First term. So strong growth, low inflation, real wage gains. And to the question on small business optimism under President Trump last week hit a multi-year high. So small businesses, Main Street is back
but again,
under President Trump.
But isn't it
That's
crazy?
after everything's
I saw the market
corrected
was
for
down
the
a
way
little
it
bit
is.
today. I mean, in all fairness, I don't feel guilty because we've set every record you can
And
imagine.
it's a measure
But
of
it was down, and I
degree,
said,
too.
"Oh, the numbers must be good."
Not to mention rapidly
Meaning
changing the
growth
amounts.
numbers are phenomenal.
and
And again,
sowing
this is during,
like
but
a lack of
little bit of
confidence
pre the heavy,
and
the really
certainty.
success and the money pouring into our country through the tariffs. And I just say, why can't we have great numbers and lower the interest rates so we have even greater numbers? So people were saying, oh, the numbers are so good, they're going to have to raise interest rates. That doesn't have to happen. And there's no inflation. we have really, I mean, the only thing we have is great success. We're having unbelievable success. So the numbers are much higher than anticipated, except for by me and Scott and some of the other people. And they'll get a lot higher than that, too. But I don't want to, every time we have good numbers, say, let's take all the juice out by raising interest rates. It's so backwards. It's so backwards.
Mr. President, they don't appreciate the importance of the third leg of your stool, because trade, taxes, and deregulation allows for significant upside growth without inflation. So eventually the people at the Fed will be able to focus on this like Alan Greenspan did in the 90s. You can have strong growth and low inflation, and I think we can get the stock market up, Wall Street, Main Street, both doing well.
And we want low interest rates. There's no reason that every time we announce these record numbers, these numbers are way above projections by, you know, all the great geniuses out there. They knew this was going to happen. So they had 71 different people, and only 2 got it right. Me and another gentleman from, I think, my wonderful Wharton School of Finance, actually. So anyway, but I really want you to look at that. Every time we have good numbers, they say this is a good time because they're guarding against inflation that may happen in 2 years from now.
It's happening now.
We have to change our thinking. We should be...
The only hedge or thing that was like stopping inflation from looking or like being worse was the tank in energy prices. Like every single inflation report was food prices just generally across the board up, and then energy would be down enough to offset it.
Rewarded for good numbers, not penalized.
So, Mr. President, is that 3.8? Is that the start of a 3% growth for the
Well,
entire year?
you know the number was projected at 2, because we're in a little bit of a transition period, but that transition period's ending faster than we thought on tariffs. The money coming in is much greater than people thought, and there's no inflation, essentially. There's no inflation. We just went through the worst inflation in the history of our country under sleepy Joe Biden. He was sleeping, and the inflation was really bad, worst ever. They say 48 years, I'll take that too, but I think it was probably the worst inflation we ever had because of
talking point, copy and paste
spending and energy going through the roof and everything else. By the way, energy's way down. And you're going to really be impressed when you hear what happened today with President Erdogan of Turkey. I think it's great for both countries. I think it's great. We have great relationships with a lot of countries, and you may be even more happy.
Sure, there's probably more certainty. Again, there's a lot of, well, there's 2 mandates from the Fed, but like, I can understand them being hesitant to lower rates because we just don't know what this guy's gonna do.
Happy when you find out, because we spoke with Bibi Netanyahu.
Not to mention, inflation was like kind of, what was that, like 3% going into this, like above target, like not far above target, but
today, and we spoke to all the leaders in the Middle East, who are great people, and we're getting pretty close to having a deal on Gaza, and maybe even peace, which would be the first time in about, what, 2,000 years, I think? In the region, I'd say the first in, Steve, what would you say, first in 2,000 years, or maybe 1,000? Huh?
2 millennium.
It's a long time. Yeah, go ahead.
Did everyone agree to stop buying Russian oil? Did he?
I don't want to say that, but if I want him to, he will. Yeah.
But he didn't think that.
Well, I didn't say okay, you stop, but I believe, yeah, I believe he will stop it. Yeah.
Did you make a deal?
You know why? Because he can buy from a lot of other people. He can buy from a lot of other people. You know who really can't is Hungary. Hungary's got, you know, they're landlocked, and they don't have a nice ocean where ships can sail in from all over the world. You know, they have one pipeline coming. Because I spoke with, he's a great guy, he's a great friend of mine, but, you know, that's a harder one for them. And Slovakia, too. They're sort of married to one pipeline. So I just don't want to have people go blaming them when, you know, we spoke to them at length today, and it seems like that, you know, for them it's a little, but that's not, Turkey has a lot of options. He's a great president, a very smart man, and he's going to take, he's going to do what's right. But we had a very good conversation having to do with the purchase of military equipment, etc. Any other questions?
Would you make a deal on F-35s, Mr. President?
I will be able to easily if I want. So we may do that. Yeah.
but not yet.
Well, it depends. He's going to do something for us, yeah. Please.
Is the U.S. going to have sanctions on Turkey?
Can I ask you, we're a few days away.
By the way, here we go with this guy. Go ahead, let's go. Let's hear the
We're a
question.
few days away from the end of the fiscal year and a potential shutdown.
Right.
There going to be a government shutdown?
Could be, yeah, because the Democrats are crazed. They don't.
They're crazed for wanting tax rebate, or what is it? Tax credits on Medicare plan. Like,
I don't know what they're doing.
that are
They wanna
already
have
in place,
border
by the
opened up
way.
so that criminals can pour in. You know,
Nope.
we're doing unbelievable borders closed, and people are coming into our country legally. They want to have. They
Stipulations are
continue to
all
want to have
about
men and
healthcare.
women's sports. They continue to want to have transgender for everyone. They want to raise everybody's taxes at a number that's not sustainable.
Literally offering tax.
It's the only
credits,
time in
but
the world
sure.
I've ever seen a party that wants to raise taxes. You know, I grew up in a family where I'd watch politics, and I always liked it from the time I was very young, but I'd always see politicians say, we will lower your taxes. These guys, they campaign on raising your taxes, but they want to raise taxes very substantially.
The one thing they're concerned about, I mean, look, Republicans have total control of Washington. You guys have control of the House, the Senate, there's you.
Don't believe what for a minute.
Well, when you say control, so we need 60 votes for this, and we have 53 Republicans.
Like, if you can look up what the demands are from the Democrats for not shutting down the government. It's the extension of tax credits on Medicare or Medicaid, I forget which one. Two other ones. One of them is going through Congress for tariffs, I think. Then there's some other Medicare thing.
So
And the
we
one
need
thing-
7 Democrats.
And those 7 Democrats and others are asking for an extension of a tax credit on people who get the Affordable Care Act and some other government-backed health care. So are you willing to negotiate
Well,
on
what
that
they're
issue?
really asking for is they want to pay for illegal aliens.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've talked to you about this, but yeah, I think so.
That have come into our country by the millions and get onto the rolls, and they want to pay, and our people don't want to do
I'm a proponent that we should have the manufacturing capacity to support like a war if need be.
that. Our people are taxed enough. You know, we just approved the largest tax decrease ever in the history of our country, including the extension of the previous Trump tax cuts. The tax cuts that we just approved.
I mean, I don't know if tariffs fall under that. I'd say they're closer to falling under taxes than levies. Like, you could do either the direct one or a layer of abstraction out. So I think you got to go by what's closer.
They want to use those tax cuts to give the money to illegal aliens, people that came into our country illegally and that are leaving the country.
So why not
You know, there's been a self-deportation because of what we've been doing that's been incredible. Okay, yeah, please.
Secretary Hegseth is inviting military leaders from all around the country on Tuesday. Will you also be there?
From all around the country to what?
To
Virginia.
He's inviting the generals and admirals to Virginia for a big meeting. They're not sure why.
Well, I know. I love it. I mean, I think it's great. Let them be friendly. Let them be friendly with the generals and admirals from all over the world. Why? Is there something? No, but is there something wrong with it?
What is it about? Will you be there personally as well? And what is it?
There's nothing alarming about summoning like 300 of our top military officials. Like, granted, like there's a reason to do it. If like war against Russia with NATO seems to be looming, like there's a reason to do it, but I feel like you should know about it. Nothing alarming at all.
Well, I'll be there if they want me, but why is that such a big deal? I mean, the fact that we're getting along with the generals and admirals from all. Remember, I'm the president of peace. It's good to get along.
Don't worry, I'm
It's
a
good. You
conspiracy
act like this is a
theorist.
bad thing. Isn't it nice that people are coming from all over the world to be with us?
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President of the United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War. It's actually not unusual at all, and I think it's odd that you guys have made it into such a big story.
Is it a big?
I was reading this. I haven't independently fact-checked it, but I don't know when the last time we've summoned to one place on, like, a day or two's notice. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, I liked it as Secretary of Defense. Not because it's just anti-Trump, whatever. I just like the idea of, we're moving past a provocative, or I guess, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Aggressive posture, more of a defensive posture, at least in terms of military. Like, the world, I would like to think, has moved more to economic gains and less, like, invasion and regime change things. I feel like Secretary of War doesn't really reflect that attitude.
Story? I mean,
that's just me.
I don't think it is, sir.
I would think it's, no, but isn't it a good story? I mean, we're respected from all over the world as a military force. I rebuilt
in terms
the
of
military
things that
during my
matter, I
first
think
term,
that's like
and even though we gave a chunk of
down
it
the
away
list.
to Afghanistan. But we're talking Afghanistan too, by the way, about Bagram and about that. But that's a very small amount compared to what we rebuilt it by. But I rebuilt the military, and we're very respected. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world without question. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We're selling the equipment to other countries. And a lot of generals want to be here, and they want to look at they're also going to be touring equipment sites. They're going to be talking about the newest weapons, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's great when generals and top people want to come to the United States to be with our now called Secretary of War. Does everybody like the name? I do.
You said something really interesting this week about Ukraine, that you thought Ukraine could get back all the territory that Russia.
Like we're saying that you think Trump 2 is a lot worse. I wholeheartedly agree, and I was just thinking about how drastic that difference is. Like, Trump 1, like, yeah, I had major policy disagreements, but wasn't like this. This is untenable, like, authoritarian overreach. The policy I could give or take at the moment, it's the usurping of a lot of power and sucking it into the executive. Like, that's my main gripe. Like, the line I draw is between people who believe in our, like, American freedom, individual liberties, the Constitution, separation of powers, and those that don't. And so the tent I want to build has left, right, center, whatever. I don't really care what your political persuasion is, so long as you agree with, like, separation of powers, rule of law, constitutional republic, yada yada. But I don't know.
Yeah, they have a shot at it because Russia.
What prompted you to change your thoughts on
Well,
that?
because I've been watching the way what Russia's been doing. I'm very dissatisfied with what Russia's doing and what President Putin is doing. I haven't liked it at all. He's killing people for no reason whatsoever, and they are doing very poorly considering they have put it all out on the line. Their economy is going to hell. They're bombing the hell out of everything, and they're picking up a very little territory, if any. In fact, they're losing some territory. So I think it's been very bad for the reputation of Russia. This war should have been over. If this were our war, we would have had it over in 1 week. And they're getting into fourth year, Jeff. They're getting into the fourth year now. 4 years of fighting, and you see what they've taken. In the last month, they've taken very little, and you've been reporting on all the bombing, all the drones all over the place. 900 drones coming into certain areas like Kiev in one night. And with all of that work, they've taken over very little. So now I'm very disappointed in President Putin. I thought I solved 7 wars.
I mean, we're already we're seeing Putin launching drones over Denmark into Poland. They're flying MiGs around our borders in Alaska. They're flying MiGs over, like, NATO territory. I think this might be the last lash of Putin's Russia. And I think it might escalate into a bigger war with at least European NATO.
Great leader coming. We have the Prime Minister of Pakistan coming and the Field Marshal Pakistan. Field Marshal is a very great guy, and so is the Prime Minister, both. And they're coming, and they may be in this room right now. I don't know, because we're late. And I said maybe they'd like to join the. They actually may be somewhere in the beautiful Oval Office. Yeah, please.
Yeah,
behind you.
I mean,
Did you promise leaders?
yeah, we sent up some F-16 to intercept some Russian reconnaissance planes in a MiG. Like, they're in our military exclusion zone or some shit like that. There's so many fucking types of zones, but they violated our airspace. Like, I do not know where Adak is. Oh, tip of the tail.
You
Gotcha.
would not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. Is that something that you?
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu
I mean,
about this?
Yeah, but
specifically
I'm not
with
gonna
the
allow it.
China
Whether I spoke to him or not, I
tariffs.
did, but I'm
Like,
not
just,
allowing Israel
we're doing
to annex
this.
the West Bank.
Actually, fuck you. We're
There's
lowering
been
the
enough.
tariffs.
It's time
Actually,
to
we're
stop.
lowering the tariffs. I'm trying to. Okay.
Yes, please.
And all right, Russia, this is your 15th two-week warning.
Jasmine, remember when I said, is she a relation to the late great
go
Davy
for it.
Crockett? I don't think so. Jasmine Crockett, let me tell you, before you even ask, she's a very low IQ person. I mean, if we ever had to pass an aptitude test, that's the one should take one, because she shouldn't even be in the crowd. So I have no idea what you're going to, but I don't think we should waste our time. This is a low IQ person who I can't even believe is a congressperson, between her and Ilman Omar and the group. You know, I met the head of Somalia. Did you know that? And I suggested that maybe he'd like to take her back, and he said, "I don't want her." Okay, what else? Go ahead. You want? Let's hear what Crockett said. Go ahead.
You compared ICE raids to slave patrol. I want to ask you.
To slave?
To slave patrol. I want to ask you if you think that there should be consequences for members of Congress who make these types of comparisons or use this type of language.
Well, I think she's gone over the line, and I think a lot of the people. Look, the Democrats have become radical left lunatics.
How will let's just a hypothetical here. Let's say Ilhan Omar gets deported. How will MAGA rationalize that? Like, I would hope that that's a line that everyone's like, okay, this is getting fucking crazy. We're deporting sitting Congress people. Like,
have policies that nobody's going to buy, and you know, I see what's going on in New York. We're going to have perhaps a communist mayor, because it's split up. You know, if the people would get together and have one candidate, they'd have a pretty good chance.
sure. But he
like
did
maybe they're
chicken
not
out
gonna
of
do
his
that.
promises
But we're gonna end
to
up with
put
a
pressure on
communist
Russia
mayor.
for all this
It's not
time.
even
And,
believable, my beautiful New York. When I left New York to become
and only
president,
now he's saying he
it was
won't
a
further
great
decrease
place.
his support
But
for
it was the
Ukraine.
beginning of bad things, because we had de Blasio had just started as mayor, and I said, this guy's a real nut job. Went to Harvard to teach management. Can you believe it? He went to Harvard to teach city management, along with the mayor of Chicago, who went to Harvard to teach. The two of them are teaching how to manage a city manage it into hell is what they do. But that was the beginning, and now we're going to go a step further. Now we're going with the communists. Can I be
Good
honest?
one,
I think it's the
Mr.
greatest thing to ever happen to the Republican Party. I really do. I think if a communist takes over New York City, I think that's a gift to the Republican Party. It's sad for New York, but it's a gift. And New York will recover, because sometimes you need a shock like that to straighten you out. But it's
not a communist.
politically, it's probably a very good thing.
Has some socialist policies.
That's a lot of.
You have a number of cities that are pushing back against your immigration deportation move, as well as your crime initiatives. Some of those cities,
I don't think they're very much
but
pushing
some of
back.
those cities have World Cup games.
Yeah.
Seattle, San Francisco.
They're going to be very secure.
Could those games move if they don't cooperate with your crime?
Well, that's an interesting one, I guess, but we're going to make sure they're safe.
Yes.
They're run by radical left lunatics.
Like, community-owned grocery stores would be an example of a communist or socialist policy, but just definitionally, communism has to be all or nothing. And having one policy that would be considered communist does not make someone a communist. Social democrat.
that don't know what they're doing. Look at Washington, D.C. I just got numbers. There's like no crime in Washington, D.C. You, Jeff, will not be mugged walking down the street. You can walk down the street with your family. You can walk down your street with your wife, your daughter, your son, and you're not going to be...
Well, with public, community, government-owned, yeah, it all means, I understand the same thing. Yes, yeah, community-owned would be co-ops, yes. He wants government-subsidized grocery stores. So publicly owned, I guess.
We took out 1,700 career criminals that we're not allowing back. And we have this...
Yeah, I lived off a co-op when I was in college.
There was a time when not long ago, when every single week you'd have at least one murder. And look what's happening with Washington. It's safe. I went to dinner in Washington just to prove a point. I gave a press conference in the middle of a street. I wouldn't say Secret Service was thrilled, but I did it, and here I am. Look, Washington, D.C. is such a great example of what can be done. We did it in 12 days. We made it very safe in 12 days, and now it's much safer than that. One other thing, I drove around Washington over the weekend, and I said, look at the difference.
Yeah. All roads lead to Walmart, I will say. Like, I went to the co-op because it was closer, but given the chance, I'd go to Walmart every single time. Like, yeah, if I had unlimited money, I'd probably do the co-op, but...
The grass looked great. Everything looked great. You know, we had a lot
I
of
am a
National
disgusting
Guard, and we didn't ask
capitalist,
them to
man.
do it. They did it themselves. They're proud.
I just want some social
Great.
safety
and
nets.
They were picking up paper.
That's
were
all.
Cleaning the place looked.
But that's communist
really
now,
beautiful.
apparently.
So we have a great Washington, D.C. We, as you probably know, we're going into Memphis, and we're going into some other cities, and very soon we're going to go into Chicago. It will be safe for the World Cup. If I think it isn't safe, we'll move it into a different city. Absolutely, we'll take the world. If I think it's not, it's actually a very fair question. If I think it's not safe, we're going to move it out of that city. If, like, the governor of Illinois, who is, look, last week,
12 murders.
between last week and the week before, 11 murders.
11?
And 38 people were
We're going
shot.
down. It was 7, it was
Then he
12.
gets up and says, this is
now
very
it's 11.
safe. And then he says crime is better. The reason crime is better is because Cash put, about 5 months ago, a whole team of FBI people there to get ready for when we go in, and they've lowered it a little bit, like 20, 25%, which isn't
wow,
good
it's
enough,
amazing
but
what
it's a good
happens.
start. But
Oh, yeah.
that was only
increased
put there
police
because
funding.
they're preparing for us to go in.
Don't
And they've
need to
done, by
send
the way,
an
they've
actual
done a
guard.
good job. So then Pritzker gets up, we've lowered crime 25, it's because the FBI was there. So, no, if any city we think is going to be even a little bit dangerous for the World Cup,
FBI
or for
stopping
the Olympics, where they have
muggings?
Olympic overthrow, right? But for the World Cup in particular, because they're playing in so many cities, we won't allow it to go to, we'll move it around a little bit. But I hope that's not going to happen, yeah.
Mr. President, Director Patel this morning indicated that the shooter in Dallas had been using an app to track ICE. Does your administration have any plans to take down those apps or get them removed or any?
Well, I can't tell you about that, but it tells you when they want to wear masks or they want to hide a little bit, why that's so important. But these are great patriots, the ICE.
Oh, God.
And what a tough job they have. What an unbelievably tough job they have. And think of it, what are they doing? They're taking hardcore criminals out of our country and putting them back. These were largely criminals that were given to us by Joe Biden.
Okay. Maybe.
And his group of radical maniacs that surrounded this desk, just like these people surround the desk now, but they're not maniacs, they're very solid people.
Thank you, sir.
Man, good thing this guy didn't traffic women to powerful men on Epstein Island, or else you wouldn't have a fucking clue about it.
But they're great. We have a great cabinet. We have great people. And he didn't have great people. He had terrible people. Look at Afghanistan. Look at the people he had running our military. That could happen. The most embarrassing day in the history of our country was Afghanistan. And 13 young people died. They don't ever talk about the 38 that were horribly wounded with legs and arms and everything else, really horribly wounded. So the country's respected like it's probably almost never been respected before. I think we're respected at a level, and a year ago it was a dead country.
buddy.
We had a dead country a year ago. This country was dying. It was really in bad shape. Let's talk about the next
inflation
subject.
coming down to target, unemployment going down. Like, come on, fucking whatever. Yeah. I mean, like the Afghanistan thing. I've been doing a little more reading, and like, Trump set up the deal and then said, "All right, here you go, Biden. Here's the rest. You got to execute the rest of it." Yeah, it wasn't good.
One of the most powerful deterrents we have to violent crime is the death penalty. As you said, your administration has taken bold, decisive steps to ensure that Washington, D.C. is once again a safe and secure city for its residents and all who visit. This is a presidential memorandum that directs your Attorney General and your U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Judge Janine Pirro,
Oh, yeah, they
to fully
indicted
implement
Comey?
the death penalty here in Washington, D.C., where the evidence and facts of a case indicate that the death penalty should be used.
Okay.
We can look
Everybody
into
understand. Death penalty in Washington. You kill somebody, or if you kill a police officer, law enforcement officer, death penalty. And hopefully there won't be that. So again, it's way down. I mean, we have had week after week after week where we haven't had a murder. I said that the other day in front of the president of Poland. The press was here, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce that Washington, D.C. has not had a death in 4 weeks, a murder. And he looked at me and goes, is that good or bad? You know, he's saying, what kind of a place is this? But it's true for years. I mean, every week, essentially, somebody got killed or more than one. And this is a very safe city right now. We don't play games. And, you know, it's interesting. We took these careers out, career criminals.
Oh, you're taking lots of careers out,
They
trust
left the word
me.
criminal out, but we took the careers
Get
out of
on,
here.
Trump. Minor misspeak.
And they're now brought back to their homes, or they're in jail, or they're in a jail in another country, and hopefully they're not coming back. And we have to maintain it. You can't just leave.
God,
You have to
yikes, so
maintain
fucking
it. We've
much
gotten along
today.
fairly well with the mayor. You know, she's getting a party that hates that the city's becoming safe. I mean, they're actually criticizing her because the city's becoming safe. But this is becoming this is right now a very, very safe city. This went from the most unsafe city in the country to the safest city in the country. There's no city any safer. That's a pretty big achievement. And we really did it in 12 days. But if you add an extra week to it, that'd be nice. And I mean, you can go out to dinner. Restaurants are booming. You know, the restaurants were dead. They were dead. Even if you got to the restaurant, then somebody would come in and hold you up. You know, they'd hold up the whole restaurant. They go to Uber. Young ladies in the White House, they'd call Uber for protection. They'd run to the car because they were petrified to be from the entrance of their building to the car. Now they feel safe. They're in the car, and then the car gets hijacked while they're in the back of the car. This is what we were living in. We were living in.
Yeah, I mean, but that's kind of just the nature of golf courses. No, like you're either stuck behind someone or someone's pushing you. Like,
Hell, people that work in the White House, every time they see me, young women in particular, say, thank you, sir. And I don't even ask them about what. I know exactly. I made their lives. Now they're living in a beautiful, glamorous place called Washington, D.C. with no crime, and that's the way it should be. Okay? This is the death penalty for somebody that kills people in Washington, D.C. I think
okay,
it's
bud.
capital. It's a very interesting capital punishment, capital city. Right? It's capital, capital, capital. But this is our capital city. We can't allow that to happen. People come in from Iowa to look at the Lincoln Memorial and they end up getting killed. It doesn't happen anymore. It's not going to happen. And if it does happen, it's the death penalty for the person that did it. And this goes into effect. Right? Pam, is that right? Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. Not
See,
only
he
are
has
we
no
seeking it in
fucking
Washington,
clue
D.C.,
what
but
he's
all over the
signing.
country again. And as you saw very recently, we are now moving the inmates who were on death row, who Joe Biden or the auto pen commuted their sentences off of death row. We're moving them to supermax
at least that's
facilities
honest.
where they will
Well,
be
the auto
treated
pen part,
like they're
maybe
on
not.
death row for the rest of their lives, President Trump.
Okay. It's a big
Like, are we pretending that there's not a debate in the U.S. between is life in prison or the death penalty fair? I feel like commuting the sentences of people from death to life in prison without parole, like, that's just that disagreement, whether or not the death penalty is right. Don't think that's a deal, like a big deal at all.
David, thank you very much. Okay. I see some of you shaking your heads very
Yeah,
positive.
text is way
Thank
too
you, Brian. Thank you, fellas.
You said on the campaign trail that
It said it. Yeah.
the death penalty is anybody, illegal killed a U.S.
That's
citizen or a
right.
police officer.
Holy shit, I need to wake the fuck up.
That's right. And most people really like
Clearly,
it. And,
I am not woke, because
Washington,
I am
again,
tired.
it's going to serve as a beacon because you have to do it. These are bad people. When you look at that guy, the guy that killed the young lady in the train in North Carolina, that he'll be in trial for years, years, years. He'll get a good lawyer. Somewhere along the line, somebody will come along, and what he did to that young lady, and she went into that train scared. You know, when she went in, the way she sat down, she was scared to just be there. She just wanted to not pay any attention to anybody, just not be noticed. And she had her throat slit. We don't want that in this country anymore. We're not going to have it in this country anymore. Thank you very much. Next.
Lastly, sir, this is a presidential memorandum on countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. In recent weeks, months, and years, we've seen a tremendous upsurge in some highly visible, but also other acts of domestic terrorism and organized political violence being perpetrated by radical, politically motivated groups all over the country. What this presidential memorandum will do is set off an administration-wide response to that.
It's not the White House, it's the Vibes House.
Task forces to other components of the Department of Justice, to the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Treasury. We're looking at interdicting these groups, preventing them from performing acts of violence, and also looking at sources of organization and funding and support that prop them up and allow them to do the acts that they have been doing.
Like, okay, again, what, like, the effects of this? Are we going to be putting people that fund BLM in prison? I don't think there's any funders directly, or large funders of Antifa, because I don't even think there's any organization of it. So either this is a do-nothing order, or they're going to use it in a very broad sense to go after anyone who says, hey, we should be anti-fascist. Yep, going to hell. Capital punishment.
We're looking at the funders of a lot of these groups, and you know, when you see, and it's also the
denial that maybe, just maybe, people organically don't like
make the sign in their basement late in the evening because they really believe
it.
These are
a foreign concept?
And agitators, professional anarchists and agitators, and they get hired by wealthy people. Some of whom I know, I guess. You know, probably know them. And you wouldn't know it. You're at dinner with them, everything's nice, and then you find out that they funded millions of dollars to these lunatics. Steve, could you say
Seems
a couple
like
of
the
words?
Biden pullout wasn't great.
This is a very historic and significant day. This is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, to dismantle Antifa, to dismantle the organizations that have been...
If we're gonna do this, you gotta go after the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, etc., etc. Like this... Like, they don't even try to pretend that to make it fair, quote unquote. Like that, I just don't understand. They're not even trying to sell it as, oh, cracking down on broad domestic terrorism. It's specifically left-wing organizations. Like, yo, like, what are we doing here?
And carrying out these acts of political violence and terrorism. What we have seen, if you look at whether it be going back to the riots that started with Black Lives Matter and all the way through to the Antifa riots, the attacks on ICE officers, the doxing campaigns, and now the political assassinations, these are not lone, isolated events. This is part of an organized campaign of radical left terrorism. It is structured, it is sophisticated, it is well-funded, it is well-planned. There is really no parallel like this to anything else in the country right now. There is a...
Wasn't there a group of people that planned to insurrect and overthrow the government? I must be thinking of... Maybe it was a dream.
an entire system of feeder organizations that provide money, resources, weapons, and when they're attacking ICE officers, they're attacking federal buildings, or they're isolating public officials for harassment, doxing, intimidation, and ultimately attempted assassination. It is all carefully planned, executed, and thought through. It is terrorism on our soil. Because of this executive order, Cash and Pam are going to have the tools they need, working with Scott, to take these organizations apart piece by piece. And the central hub of that effort is going to be the Joint Terrorism Task Force, or JTTF, which sits inside the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But for those at home who are worried about terrorism in this country, they need to understand, because of President Trump's strength, because of his vision, because of his leadership, we are now going to use the entire force of the federal government to uproot these organizations root and branch. And again, that's only possible because of President Trump and his leadership.
Thank you. Steve Cash, please.
Yes, as Steve was saying, Mr. President, thanks to your leadership, crime is going downward in a tremendous fashion, and that's what we want for every city in America. And the FBI's premier flagship enterprise, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, are honored to lead this initiative with our partners at Treasury and Homeland Security, because our citizens are being attacked by, as Stephen said, organized violence, and it's being paid for, not by them, by other people. So what we are going to do, combining forces as Scott and I have done in these last few months, is follow the money. People and organizations have collected funds and put them out into the streets of America and organized violence across our country. And thanks to your recognition of this and this executive order and the AG's leadership to lead out and prosecute these individuals, we are properly going to chase them down like the domestic terrorists that they are, and our streets and our communities are going to be safer because the JTTF and the FBI and Treasury and DHS and DOJ are going to combine forces like never before to root out this new evil that is perpetrating our criminal activities across our society.
Deep state.
And we are just so thankful for your leadership and recognition of it. It's not easy to do.
Good job. Thank you very much,
Who
Pam.
specifically do you want to target?
What?
Besides Antifa, is there a specific group or person you're targeting in this?
Any organized group.
Any organization?
Any organized group.
Who is
Hello?
who are committing these crimes, and we're working with the Secretary of Treasury. You know what law enforcement has told us under President Trump's leadership?
Oh, no.
He's taken the handcuffs off law enforcement. They can do their jobs now, thanks to you, President Trump, and that's what's happening. And all of these agencies that Cash mentioned, we work hand in hand together. Our prosecutors were following the money with Treasury. We're working with Homeland Security. Cash's agents, all of our agents, DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshals, combined are working, and with state and local government, to take these people off the streets who are jeopardizing lives.
Can I just illustrate this? So I was talking with Cash and Stephen about this a couple of days ago, sir. So I believe it was in Oregon where you had a federal building where there were men in black ski masks who were committing acts of violence, who were shutting down a government building. To the president's point, they don't come from nowhere. These are paid people. This is organized. They're committing acts of political terrorism on American soil. And it's time we had a government that looked out for the American people rather than the people who are committing violence against the American people.
When you go out to Portland and you see what's happening in Portland, this is like nobody's ever seen anything like
What's up? Gold, gold, gold. Is that what we're going for here?
it every night. And this has gone on for years. They just burned the place down, and you know, the shop owners, most of them have left, but the few shops that are open, they just use plywood and just like 3/4-inch plywood. They don't put storefronts because they know it's going to be burned down. These are professional agitators.
That's right.
These are bad people, and they're paid a lot of money by rich people, some of whom we know. I'm sure I know some.
Dude, I have I think 1,700 hours on Counter-Strike now. I don't want to know how many cases I've opened. No gold. Had a couple reds. No golds. I'm like... I suppose. Kinda, yeah, wait. Shit. A little bit. Look, if I have some giant donor, I will do a case opening.
If I knew, I wouldn't associate because I'll be in trouble because Pam will say, why are
Surely
you associating
one more
with this
case.
person? But I will tell you that these are bad people, and they're paying a lot of money, millions of dollars. But take a look at Portland sometime. These are wild, these are crazy people, and they're trying to burn down buildings, including federal buildings. And on my list of things that I want to do before we finish up with the cities, because I think we're going to whip the cities back into shape, and we have to.
Any thoughts about the Middle East? Lots of them, I think. I'm hoping the new Syrian government does well. I'm glad that the Palestinian Authority is being recognized as the leaders of the Palestinian state. What else we got going on there? Yeah, maybe. I support the attacks on Iran. Yeah, any specific thoughts on the Middle East you want?
We cannot let our cities, and that's a small example, but it's the most violent example.
I think the thing about the recognition of Palestine gives them a kind of a seat at the table, statehood recognition, the ability to negotiate, protection from Israeli aggression, I guess, specifically in like the West Bank. I think it makes clear borders. They have been in the UN, but again, there's different rights that the states have, like sovereign territory. But it also comes with responsibilities. Like, you can't have like terror groups running the country if you're an official state. Like, yeah, but like I'm talking about officially recognized, not just like armistice lines and all that.
It's every night, and they've done it for years.
I think it's a good thing to have a recognized Palestinian
state. They made their point, and what are they doing?
But we're
going
the
to get
stipulation
out there,
that it's the PA
and we're going to do a
not
pretty
Hamas.
big number of those people in Portland that are doing that. They're professional agitators and anarchists. They're actually anarchists. Yeah. Go ahead. Why don't you defend? Let's see you defend them, Jeff.
No, I'm not defending anyone. I just want so that we can just explain this in our stories.
You don't explain it right, though, Jeff. Go ahead. Let's go. Maybe let's give you another chance. Go ahead.
Antifa, Soros. What names are we talking about?
Well, Soros is a name certainly that I keep hearing. I don't know, but Soros is a name that I hear. I hear a lot of different names. I hear names of some pretty rich people that are radical left people. Maybe I hear about a guy named Reid Hoffman. Somebody's a pretty rich guy, I guess, and I hear about him. I don't know. Maybe could be him. Could be a lot of people. We hear the same names, but they're bad, and we're going to find out. And if they are funding these things, they're going to have some problems because they're agitators and they're anarchists. These are anarchists.
Oni and Ron Swanson.
Okay, yeah, please.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Who are you with? Who are you with?
I'm with the Center Square. Sarah Rodriguez is my name. Sarah. There's also, as you know, Antifa is not just a domestic terror, or now a domestic terror organization. It's also international. I know the Netherlands is looking at also designating them a terror organization. Have you been working with your intel community and your DNI to possibly expand that to making them designated an international terror organization?
Yeah, we have been. Yep. It's an international. In many cases, it is international.
Mr. On Antifa, if someone takes to the streets of America and says they're Antifa, what happens to them? What will happen to them?
Well, I'd say the maximum under the law, and we'll see. Now, if they kill somebody, we just signed a death penalty, so it depends where it is. But if they kill somebody,
what is a business a group of? What animal is that? Flock to geese as business is to.
Which they do. I mean, people are dying. You go out to Portland, people die out there. Many people have died over the years in Portland. Portland is, I don't know how anybody lives there. It's amazing. But it's anarchy out there, and that's what they want. They want anarchy, like when they attacked Seattle and took over a big percentage of the city. I was going to go out, and we were going to do a big number. They heard that, and everybody broke up all of a sudden. But, you know, you have governors that have to run that, and a lot of them don't do that. I don't like to go in. I'd rather have Pritzker's support when we go into Chicago. But if we don't have it, that's okay, too, because we're paramount, and we will do what we have to do. We're going to make Chicago safe. We're going to make we're going to make as many as we can, and usually that involves a surge. But what we did with, in the case of Chicago, by having the FBI go out there 5 or 6 months ago, we brought it down a little bit. You know, a little bit is 25%, so it's not so little, but it is when you're talking about the kind of crime and killings and murders that you hear in Chicago. But we're going to get it. Chicago's a great city. As the Union Pacific said, the head of the Union Pacific, who's a great guy, started off as a low-rung guy. He said he started at a caboose, and now he's the chairman of the Union Pacific. But he's a great guy. But he said, "Sir, don't lose Chicago." The way he said it, I said, boy, it really hit me. You know, here's a man that knows all the cities. The Union Pacific, I guess, is our largest railroad. And he knows all the cities. He's been doing it for 45 years. And he said, "Sir, don't lose Chicago." And the way he said that meant a lot to me. And we're going to go into Chicago very soon. We're going to take care of Memphis. We're going to take care of Memphis. You can't walk a block without getting shot. We're going to take care of that one. And just like we did Washington, D.C., and we're gonna do Chicago very soon. Yeah.
Mr. President, we heard there could be an indictment on James Comey. Do you know if there is an indictment, or Madam Attorney?
I don't know. I know it's going on because I read the papers just like you do, right? So I don't know. Do you have anything to say about that?
We can't comment on that.
Yeah.
Madam Attorney General, can you comment on a New York Times report saying that Justice Department officials have asked attorneys to target a George Soros-funded group? And is this executive order that you just signed a part of that effort?
I'm not going to comment on whether there is or is not a pending.
He said that he wants to see the Gaza situation done. He said he talked with Netanyahu about a hostage release. He is against the Canadian, Australian, and English recognition of a Palestinian state because he says it rewards Hamas, even though it explicitly states that Hamas cannot be in the governance. I think he's still very much on Netanyahu's side.
Investigation, but everything's on the table right now.
I don't think anybody has to ask, because if you look at Soros, he's at the top of every. In fact, sometimes they say, could he be involved in this many things? But he's in every story that I read. Stories that I read keep talking about Soros, and so I guess he'd be a likely candidate. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Well, that was fun.
Thank you. Yeah.
That was that. So now we're gonna have any left-wing organization investigated by the fucking president. Awesome. Hour ago. Alright, so we have 2 press gaggles. Or no, this is the same one.
So I'm going to go for a little while to represent the United States at the Ryder Cup, which is very exciting. And we'll be watching that. This is Kai, by the way, in case you didn't know how he is. And we'll be watching a little golf. I think we have maybe a deal on Gaza, very close to a deal on Gaza. How are you?
Never mind.
Hello, Peter. And it's looking like we have a deal on Gaza. And we'll let you know.
What about
I think it's a deal that will get the hostages back. It's going to be a deal that will end the war. It's going to be a deal it's going to be peace. I think.
Okay, peace is great. What about the recognition? Hopefully one of the reporters asks.
We have a deal. That'll be number 8, Peter. Not
Mr. President, I'm James Comey. Now that James Comey has been indicted, who is the next person on your list in this retribution?
It's not a list, but I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt. These were corrupt, radical left Democrats. Because Comey essentially was he was worse than a Democrat. I would say the Democrats are better than Comey. But no, there'll be others. Look, that's my opinion. They weaponized the Justice Department like nobody in history. What they've done is terrible. And so I hope there are others, because you can't let this happen to a country.
And will you appoint a permanent U.S. attorney to try this case? Lindsey Halligan has
Stream with a lot of shade. Hate watch. Just like all the Nazis that come in here every once in a while.
never tried a
Well, we'll see, but it's a pretty easy case because, look, he lied. You saw my truth today. He lied. It was yes, no. He didn't say, well, in my opinion, he didn't do a lot of things that maybe he should have, but I don't think he could because he lied. That was a very important question that he was asked. and he wanted to be specific, but he didn't. The only thing that happened to him, he didn't think he'd get caught. That answer that he gave, that was a very important answer. And it was for him, it was a very good answer if he didn't get caught.
I feel like I gotta
but he
know
got
that.
caught lying to Congress.
President Trump, are you worried now that the next time there's a Democratic president, they will indict your FBI director or people in your administration?
Is it going to be, oh, they already did it, or no, because we haven't done anything wrong, or both?
They tried to do, right? They did it with me for 4 years.
They already
They
did
went
it.
after me.
That's
They went
fine.
after me for 4 years, and that doesn't include the 4 great years that we had in the White House. So when I ran it from 2016 when we won, it began before I got to office. You know that. Wait a minute. Before I came to office, I started hearing rumors about Russia. I said, what the hell do I have to do with Russia? Nothing. And then it got worse and worse.
Even though Roger Stone was coordinating with the Russians to release information, Rudy Giuliani was blackmailing Ukrainians to release information on Hunter Biden? Yeah, okay, sure.
Some of the fakers, not you, but some of the fake news picked it up and they loved it. And we went through a long time with that. And despite that, we had a great first term.
Mr. President, that's how it went, where they make you go and take a mugshot. Is this more about justice or is it about revenge?
It's about justice, really. It's not revenge. It's also about the fact that you can't let this go on. They are sick, radical left people, and they can't get away with it. And Comey was one of the people. He wasn't the biggest, but he's a dirty cop. He's always been a dirty cop. Everybody knew it. And it's, as far as the case is concerned, he gave an answer. It was a strong answer. He then verified it a couple of times because that was a very important answer. If he
What
would
was
have
Comey's answer?
equivocated, if he would have been like a little bit less sure, that would have been very bad for him. So he gave an answer. The only problem is for him, he didn't think it'd be caught, and he got caught, Peter.
Whoa, what just fucking happened there? What?
He'd be caught, and he got caught, Peter. This is about justice.
Hold on. Now, here's the answer to your question.
This is about justice. He lied. He lied a lot, but this was a very important thing. He could have said, well, maybe, or I don't remember. He didn't say that. He gave a very specific answer, and then he verified it numerous times, and he got caught. The problem that Comey has is he got caught lying, and he was very strong. It's not like, well, maybe, or I don't remember, or he gave a very specific answer because it was a very powerful question, a very important question. And when he gave the answer, the only problem is he got caught. So. Well, we're going to see, but the radical left Democrats want to shut it down. I mean, it's up to them. We have a great economy going. You saw the numbers yesterday. They're fantastic. The economy's doing well. Prices are down. We have virtually no inflation. Everything's going good. We're respected by every nation in the world. And you know what happened? The Democrats want to shut it down. And they want to shut it down.
They want to keep healthcare tax credits, man. Fucking.
Because they want to give billions, ultimately trillions of dollars to illegal migrants, people that came into our country illegally. Some of those people are
Please say transgender for everybody.
criminals, but they came into our country illegally, and they want to give them the essential over years, trillions of dollars, and our people aren't going to stand for it. They also want to have open borders.
Come
They
on.
want to have men and women's sports.
Come
They
on.
want to have transgender for everybody. These people are crazy,
yeah,
the Democrats. So if it has to shut down, it'll have to shut down. But they're the ones that are shutting down government.
All right, we're back. All right, what do we got now? Oh, a gaggle upon arrival. Look at that. Gaggles on gaggles.
Hello, everybody. This is Bruce Blakeman. He's the boss out here. He's done a phenomenal job. He has my complete and total endorsement. And he's really a great guy. So I just want to thank him for meeting me at the plane. The team is not doing so well. So when I heard that, I said, let's get on the plane. We have to fly and help them. They've lost 3 matches and they're tied in 1. So that's not so well, but we'll get it done. One way or the other, we'll get it done. Any questions, please?
Mr. President, are you looking forward to watching the matches today? Will you give a pep talk to Team USA?
I'll be Newt Rockney. You know, I went with Randy Levine 2 weeks ago, right?
Hard-hitting.
Were you there?
Yeah.
For the Yankees. And with the Steinbrenner family, and it looked like they weren't going to make the playoffs. And since then, they've been hot, and they're now in first place. And Aaron Judge went on a spree. He's been on a spree since I went. So we're going to do the same thing over here. It's true. The Yankees now are in first place, and they were having a hard time even making the playoffs. What was that, 11 or 12 days ago, right? Was anybody there? Were you there? Yes. Yeah, they were.
True.
So it's great. We have to do the same thing over here. But I think we'll be okay. Look, all great golfers, both teams. I know most of them, and they're great golfers. So we have a lot of fun. Any other question?
On pharmaceutical tariffs, last night when you announced companies should reshore in the U.S., have you heard from any additional companies since then about plans to invest?
A lot of companies are moving into the U.S. so they don't have to pay tariffs. If we didn't have that, they wouldn't do it. But they are moving in. He knows because they're moving into your territory. But a lot of companies are moving into the U.S. in order not to pay tariffs. And
Okay, again, like, there's going to be a delay. The prices are going to shoot up. Like, you can't have it both ways where people instantly spring up manufacturing facilities. It's just not how it works. Like, if you instantly impose tariffs, there's going to be a price until people move back. And there's going to be a long, long lag. So you can do that. That's fine. Like, I'll disagree with it, but don't pretend that there's not going to be an immediate price, hike. Like, it's just ridiculous.
And I think because they like the election on November 5th, right, Bruce?
He's doing an amazing job. His strength has brought incredible prosperity, and he is incredibly popular here in New York State and especially in Nassau County. And we're blessed to have you here, Mr. President. Thank you so much. And you are going to bring the strength and luck to our team, and we will win.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good time, everybody.
That's it? Wow, that was fucking useless.